A is still in the pool. His troll is still in the pool. If they wanted to, they could make this Beastmaster's life pretty rough here. Even though I do think that this Tiny almost has to go in the safe lane position, just because we've seen it mid, we've seen it 4, haven't seen it off lane just yet, but we know it's a struggle. And
Mm.
who would have thought? Infamous, they pick the Timber Saw, and with the pick position, they actually take it up. Well, now Lava can't go for the Kunkka because, well, you're drafting against yourself basically at that point. I'm really kind of confused as to why Lava maybe looked past this, and I do want to see maybe a solution coming here in their 4 position. Honestly, I think that's where Infamous also covered their bases, because Weaver is your dead ringer for getting that vessel early, and we do finally see the Phoenix. Now, this is a cool direction to take it in. Phoenix, first phase banned or completely ignored because the Snapfire has been so popular in those first phases, and Lava as well. They run it as a 4. They run it with a little bit of farm, and that's always fun to see. At the same time, though, that's another strength hero that's going to have to play versus this Timber Saw. And aside from the egg, well, Timber can't do anything about that. But I think that's where we are going to see Oscar just continuously pound moves. And it's something that really the rest of their lineup can't really fix. I think they need to become more obnoxious. They need someone who's going to place themselves in front. They'd love to have Mars. That would be the best pick for Leo Star to slot in right now. But I think instead they're going to need to look for a different hero from him. But he also needs to be a little bit beefy here. With the Phoenix, you need a little bit more of a front line than just these Beastmaster summons, especially if you're playing versus a carry naturally with Cleave. And we'll see. Nope, they take the PA. A nice PA pick, though. That's a deny from Lumiere, because you don't want to let your Beastmaster kind of fall prey to that.
Yeah, certainly gives you damage, but we'll now have to look and see what the play is from Leo Style in terms of that frontliner, because yeah, as you said, you look at the Infamous lineup, they don't really have great stuff to hit the egg, but if the most that they have to fight their way through is a Beastmaster and an Ogre, they're still going to get it done. So, be very careful here on the Lava side. Infamous, meanwhile, coming in with a PL pick. Alright. Lava, well, they have AoE damage, but not insta-kill Phantom Lancer Illusions damage.
Yeah, and I'm running the numbers in my head, I'll be honest here, because, well, fairly good lane versus the Beastmaster, definitely adept at hitting the Phoenix Egg, does not match up versus Phantom Assassin in the slightest, is actually one of the worst matchups, I want to say, unless something has drastically changed for Phantom Lancer, and I don't think it has. PA always has the advantage there, so I'm a little bit concerned with them going for this pick. Like I said, don't think they were going to pick the Ursa versus the Beastmaster, but even that would have dealt with the Phoenix, and we've seen Lumiere play Ursa so many times versus PAs in the tournament and do just fine. It's a little bit of a reach here with the PO. I think they've shoved a little bit of their lineup aside. I hope it's not a Slade and Tiny, though, and I think that's where I'm most concerned for Infamous here, because Lava are banning out mid laners as if this Tiny is going to go to that 4 position. And the last time he played it, it just did not feel good. The hero just needs so many more levels to actually get that level 2 grow before your Avatos feels like it does that much damage. Again, I'm a little bit concerned here for Infamous, draft-wise.
Yeah, I mean, we even made a point of it when we saw Sladen attempt to play that Tiny, that they were sort of going against the grain, trying to prove that this hero still worked out, and it didn't. It just straight up did not work. So, interesting time to try and force it if that is the direction they're looking in, although to be fair, this could just be maybe them tricking Lava into thinking that's the direction that they want to go in. They do put this Tiny in a core position and just take a support here, but very rarely are we seeing teams sort of dipping into the support pool with that final pick. Doesn't mean Infamous can't do it, it just doesn't go with conventional draft style that we have seen. As Lava, though, getting themselves the Queen of Pain, so unfortunately that does not really alleviate the concern that we were talking about with their lack of durability, but the Queen of Pain is certainly going to hit hard and going to be hard to lock down.
Yeah, and that is a reactively genius pick on Lava side, because you see Puck, you see the Void Spirit taken out, they ban out the Kunkka, they have completely set up this Queen of Pain. Who is the monster that goes versus him now? Do you have to just pick, I was going to say Invoker, but Invoker's already banned as well. I really think Lava have drafted Leo style in one of the best Queen of Pain games we've seen so far, and before, you'd probably say that Clop versus Tiny, well, that's a little bit of a risk. That's something you need to play against, but if this is going to be a Tiny 4, and with how Queen of Pain's skill up now, with just getting the Sanj and Kaya early, I don't think it's going to be quite nearly as problematic as maybe the matchup has been in the past. And of course, we didn't see a lot of Tiny before this changeup, and they do go for Ember. Ember was always going to be in the pool, and I thought Lava were going to look for it as well, but I am certainly concerned. I like that they have the Timber Saw. I like the heroes that the first three for Lava play against, but everything else, I've got huge question marks in my mind. And yet again, I think the team that has the advantage coming in here in Lava kind of has the more simple, the more basic lineup, more in line with what they've done in the tournament. Or Infamous, they've really gambled on, I think, this PL pick specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel fantastic for them. And I mentioned when they picked it up, Lava had some good AoE damage, but maybe not enough to insta-kill through all of those illusions. But if the PA gets enough damage and cleave, and if Leo style just plays the way Queen of Pain kind of inherently does, then you're looking at a different situation here. It really feels like Lava have pulled things back in their favor with the latter half of this draft.
Yeah, and we'll have to see, because a lone Ember Spirit, you can never count him out, ever. He can always pull something crazy on you. Suddenly, Frank is dying in the bottom lane while he's killing Cat U top, and it is a very wide open Ember game. There's no real stun here. Looking down the line, if he ever feels like he needs to get a Lincoln Sphere, well then, you really are out of stuns on Lava's side, and that's something that they are severely lacking. I'm just worried about really just the relative strength of their heroes compared to what Infamous had. And I really want to see Sladen specifically on that Tiny get off to a good start because he's already getting sacked a little bit. He's playing with the Timber Saw, which is a very selfish offlaner. But if he gets even a few minutes earlier a Blink Dagger, then maybe we can see him in alone just playing up on Lava.
It's all going to come down to, I feel like, tempo at this point. As you said, if Sladen can get himself going, if he can prove us wrong. Last time around, we said the exact same thing, and unfortunately for Infamous, we were sort of saying I told you so's at the end of that game, but
all according to plan.
Doesn't mean you can't try again. And Sladen might have a different approach this time, right, in terms of how he wants to come at this. Itemization may have to change because obviously your abilities haven't since the last time they gave this a go, but we'll see. There's got to be something. I refuse to believe that they just put their heads down and decided to be stubborn and would put Sladen in the exact situation without some sort of adjustment.
In all things.
No, they definitely have, I think, a little bit more of an idea. And hey, whenever it was better, that was Sladen's bread and butter. Whenever he was messing around with some of his, I dare to say, less successful SA teams, but I think that's also where, hey, Avalanche got better as a stun. And we've actually seen this matchup before where Avalanche catches up the Queen of Pain. I think that you're not actually able to blink out of it with the cast time, or at least if you are, it comes at the end of the duration, which is super scary. But, oh man, Oscar ate a lot of damage there, but does just Timber Chain away. Lost the rune, though, unfortunately.
That just kind of makes it sting a little bit. The only reason he's in there is to try and grab that rune, and he doesn't get it. So, well, gonna have to burn through a tank or two. Nothing too serious, I don't think, but we'll see. I was gonna say we'll see how aggressively they want to play. Really, Cat U, I think, is the only one who can afford to do much of anything. Kataro, if you're trying to hit up the Timber Saw with a Stifling Dagger, then basically once he's 2 and there's points in the reactive, that damage really isn't going to stick for very long. It's really just the Phoenix with the Spirits who's gonna try and just burn this Timber Saw out.
Yeah, they are trying to make the early trades, though, because they do know about Oscar's situation here, and there's no more tangos in him. He's gotten really greedy with his build-up, instead getting that Ring of Protection as opposed to a salve, but with the Courier, he will be filled up. Can still afford to do this play, though, but I think that's where Cat U is. Does he meet the waves? Really perfect. And then, there you go. Both camps are blocked. Sladen kind of has to just give up, get the Courier delivered to him, but this is quite nice, I think. Actually, if you are Lava here, you got pretty much exactly what you wanted.
Look at Kataro. He's playing so far forward, but he was throwing those daggers out onto Oscar. Now he's kind of doing the same to Sladen, so trying to be a little bit more aggressive. Not to the point where he's going to go diving after any kills, but recognizing, listen, if I can get this early damage down, if I can force this duo back, then my lane's going to be quite a bit more free. And even with all this fighting, 6-1. In terms of the last hit count, so he's really not giving up on much space, whereas Oscar, this is a lane where you're already maybe going to have some issues last hitting until later on in the next couple of minutes, but then you're also dealing with both the damage and the attack speed slow from those spirits.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this is the most countered out we've seen a creep pool get. This has been really rough for Infamous. Do like that Slane's going for it again though, especially with Oscar kind of carrot on a stick right now, just showing that hey guys, you can hit me. I'm gonna let you do it. I've got a salve, but that's where Lava really have the knowledge to deal with this aggression though coming out, and I think Sladen does get away with it this time, but it's definitely a very nice start for Kataro, and very similar to the Slark game, he just has so many creeps that can't be contested. He's going to get probably level 3.5 here off this wave.
Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Frank, well, this is a bit of an interesting situation. With Kim hitting him up with the Bloodlust, Frank doesn't really need as many points, or any points at this point, in the Inner Beast, so he's gotten a couple of points up in the summons. He took one in the axes, and he's going to leave it at that. So, well, slightly different approach to the lane. And meanwhile, for Lumiere, I mean, he's just here to farm. I don't think he really cares about any sort of early fighting at this point.
No, and that also makes this PL pick, again, feel a little bit alien because you are pairing it with the Grimstroke. You've got a shred of that ability to stay on top of these targets for the Inkswell, but really it's more so to, I think, kill the boars off, so that way you're not eating too much harass. And once you get Helm Dom finished by Frank, probably going to see the tower just fall without Lumiere really fighting too much for it.
Really not a whole lot he's going to be able to do to protect that. And well, now that he has a point up in the Phantom Rush, that Inkswell play you were talking about is a little bit more viable for him, just because he's going to be able to close that gap. But something worth noting at this point, Frank is entirely by himself. Kim has just shoved off the lane completely. He's making his way mid, counter maneuver to Sladen sort of rotating over as well. So both offlaners are just sort of being left to their own devices now. Their supports know there's not a lot of kill potential to really put them in any danger.
Yeah, and that's where, unfortunately, well, the Tiny's going to try to do his job as much as he can, but switching moves over to this Ogre is very intriguing because he is just going to try and mirror the Tiny, and it's something that maybe in previous patches we see an Earth Spirit and a Tiny running around with boots just trying to block each other's rotation, but it's where I almost feel as if the Ogre is a little bit more effective at it, just being the wall, not necessarily having those same dynamic plays, but certainly able to show up, throw out an ignite, and then making it almost impossible to go for a crazy dive. And Slane's trying to get fishy here. Again, Oscar is on that selfish Timber Saw, so he's trying to give as much soul XP to the Timber as possible, but not really able to find a lane or farms to himself. It's that slow start that, unfortunately, the Tiny has to give over because of the laning setup.
And while he was mid, he was actually pinging out the side of the river there. As Cadu, okay, gets hit up, but he's going to be okay. Pinged it out, sort of insinuating that there was vision there. There actually isn't a ward on that side. It was on the other side of the river, but it has been either timed out or taken care of. So Sladen, he's at least getting information for alone. That's going to have to count for something, but it's all that he can really do at the moment. And now that he's back down bot, I'm not even really sure what kind of impact he has in this lane. The Avalanche was nice onto Katyu, but as you saw, wasn't enough damage to actually kill.
Toss?
Might be able to give it another try. No, and now Sladen, he's got to use the toss defensively into the Ava, so just really not having much of an impact early on.
Yeah, and that's where whenever there is this stone wall where neither side is really getting plays, you ask yourself who has the later item timings, who's more pleased with how this game is going so far, and it's honestly hard to say. Both teams are looking for those later moments, as well as, well, I think A might go down here. Just a 5 on the rune, not much he can do. I think this does mean that the Ember Spirit gets the Invis bottom, but at the same time, nice, a little bit of gold there, but they do also kill the Phoenix bot, which is a nice kill, especially because Sladen is laneless. He's had to take a little bit of XP, so Oscar looking for his level 6 is definitely going to take that in hand.
And Sladen was finally able to sort of make that move happen with the Avatos combo, so just when we were saying, you know, he's not really having much of an impact, he's finally able to hit home there. Unfortunately, it's just that little bit too late to pick up first blood, but get some gold, you get Oscar the kill. He is so close to level 6 now, so yeah, all's well that ends well on the Infamous side of things. In the meantime, is this in the jungle? There is just a boar and an ogre trying to do things to Lumiere, but yeah, the fight is down bot. They're going to jump onto Kataro. He's not dead yet. He actually managed to jump away, but they need one more hit. Anything from anyone. There it is. Affliction's able to save the day with the stroke of fate. They could not afford to let that one slip through their fingers.
Nope. Really tight play from him and a really smart rotation in from A, knowing that, Frank's got top. Isn't much he can do to that lane and doesn't need the bottle refill mid, so he makes his rotation very tightly towards bottom. But I think that's also where is this collapse in the top lane a little bit too fast? Is Frank able to head mid too quickly? Those are the questions that Infamous are asking themselves right now, because this Beastmaster really is, I mean, 30 and 12. He has just had the lane of his life. This is the most successful Beastmaster we've seen in, I think, the entire tournament. Frank's just had a free game.
Yeah, free is just the key word here. Not a single bit of pressure onto him, and tower down. It's just shy of 8 minutes, so really, if you're Frank, now your options are open. You can keep pushing if you want. You can start rotating as well. If you can get hits onto Alone, that would be pretty massive in Leo style. I mean, he's got the ult, so really all they need is the roar, but look at the stuns coming in. They've got him. No, they don't. They don't have him dead to rise there. Leo style will jump away. He turns around and whiffs on the ult Alone. Boy, that's something. He just jumps in, immediately dives back out once he sees the wand charges get popped, and then baits the ult.
No, it's super sick from him. That's honestly an amazing play. But hey, all you did was trade the ulti. Now I think Leostar is going to be stuck in his lane even further. Not going to see him perhaps rotate bottom, but that also means that, hey, Lumiere's got a lane to farm now. He doesn't really need to be too scared of the Queen of Pain coming and ruining his day. So I do think that we're going to see Lumiere take over this bottom area, and then Oscar needs to come mid. He's the one that actually needs to stop this Beastmaster, but unfortunately, making an attempt on the Cat-U, as soon as he knows he's caught, he's just going to TP out. He's not even going to tempt fate. He's just going to walk away. But how they defend this middle tower is a problem that I don't think Infamous has solved just yet here, especially if they can force out any amount of regen from Alone. It just means that the Ember Spirit might not be strong enough to actually deal with these creeps. At the same time, if Frank wants to keep the pressure here, he can just exist. He doesn't really need anywhere to farm. He's just going to do exactly what he needs to do here, even giving space over to Kataro, who's working towards that Battle Fury. The only nice thing happening right now is at least Sladen has a lane. It's something he didn't have for that previous series that I think he sorely needed. But now, well, your mid tower, where's your Timbersaw? He's the only one that can really save this.
They kind of wanted to kill there for a moment, but that's a little bit too far to chase. They'll turn their attention back towards the middle lane, but that means Alone is able to get in there. They hit him up with a stun, though, but they really do want Affliction first. They're going to be able to lock him down, but that buys time for Oscar and Sladen to both arrive, so this should turn into a trade, and a trade that's going to push this off of the tower. Frank, he gets in there with a level 1 axes for whatever that's worth, but not going to be able to actually secure that kill. In the meantime, down bot, it looked like Cat-U was maybe in a little bit of trouble, but no. It was just the illusions he was dealing with, and he is going to be just fine. But if you're Infamous, that works kind of perfectly. Support for support trade. Your tower is still standing. Now, though, this move. It's got to free up space. They've got to get Frank out of their jungle. They can't hit him with the Searing Chains just yet, though, which means, yeah, he can just do that. Drops down the Roar, Affliction. They're not actually going to focus him down. That maybe should have just been a play to get the kill and be done with it. Instead, he's dogpiled on by about 4 heroes, and I don't think Frank realized there were that many heroes coming in. If he did, maybe he does just lay out for that kill onto the Grimstroke, but without it, that's horrible. Now Frank's out of your jungle. You are free to sort of get back in there and try to farm it, and it means that Kataro is not going to feel as safe farming in this area himself, and now he's lost his courier.
And I mean, space made up until this point, but he also got hit by the Ogre Smash, you know? Jungle's dangerous. Gotta be careful fighting in those areas, but at the same time, mid-tower defended, and Oscar, he knows there's no roar. Is there damage?
Sonic Wave is certainly going to help out with that nuke damage, and they were close. Leostar wanted to hold as long as he could, but they weren't going to be able to get the kill without it. They do have to deploy the ult, but now Oscar's dead, which means your defender for this tower is in the dirt. Lava have a chance to push in onto it, but here comes Alone. They're not willing to give this up without a fight, and the only thing is Alone has to be careful, because the Roar is back up in 25, so if this turns into a prolonged siege, they could try to go back in. But for now, it looks like Lava don't want to commit for really that much time.
Yeah, and it is something to note. The damage coming out from Alone, especially finishing up the Javelin, he's not messing around. If you stick around too long, you eat a few too many slices, then suddenly your push is getting much weaker. And that's also where we don't have that healer. We don't have that freebie that we've seen picked up by so many other teams. So any damage that is dealt is a resource. Your HP bar, how long you can stick around in an area, it is all something that comes at a cost here. And that's where, again, they're looking for the smoke on the Frank, and no scan this time. I think they might just get him again.
The stun down, the silence is there, the Inkswell will connect. There's just no one to help. They really have just sort of left Frank to patrol this jungle by himself, which means Infamous bring him down again. Over on the other side of the map, though, they are trying to get onto Lumiere. That Supernova is not going to hit in terms of the stun, but it's a little bit more damage, but they're not going to be able to get it. And now with Oscar TPing in, gotta be careful. Leo Style is simply going to blink himself out of there. I think yeah, that silence, I don't think that's going to turn into too much, but the point is, Lava tried to go in onto the PL, they don't get the kill. Affliction ties to the DOT. That is still a Phoenix with maxed out spirits, but, well, the important thing was saving the Phantom Lancer. They get that mission accomplished, and Oscar, he's still looking for it. Cat, you used the Supernova, so now they need help, but that is certainly help. Leo Style in, Frank drops the roar, and they pick Oscar off. The only problem is, yeah, they pay a pretty hefty cost across the map, ET, as they take down Kataro.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that play from Oscar is really weird. Just sticking on the Phoenix, I think maybe he was under the impression that the Icarus dive was already spent, maybe a calm from Lumiere, but still really strange to just be chasing, having all your stacks run out, and then not assuming that your opponents are just going to take you out with what follows. But that is, like you said, where the cost is. Kataro, by himself, actually gets caught by the Ember Spirit alone, finally finds the pick there. And at the same time, more space for Lumiere, right? He finishes Diffusal Blade. He's able to work towards that next item. He loved this Manta before he gets wholeheartedly involved in these engagements, but he is honestly building himself pretty nicely. The only problem is there is a Battle Fury on the other side, and give PA too much time, well, suddenly that's a very big problem that you're never really able to deal with. But I think that's where Alone definitely is still the difference maker for his team. Both mids looking not really for that Orchid timing that we've seen before. They're going for the tankier items. They're looking for that, I think, 17-minute timing where you've got these big items, then maybe a Shard to follow up, but double smoke. This is going to be a big play.
I think the Phoenix may have been in that little sliver of ward vision beforehand. We'll see if they know this is coming, but Lava are still making the move regardless. They did pop a scan, so they know someone was in here. The problem is, it was Lumiere, and he's already gone. So, might just have to turn their attention towards the middle lane, where Oscar would make for a nice target. They get the pushback from the Wild Wing Ripper, but not enough for the kill, so instead they'll take the tower. That's still big, though, for them. Tier 1s, both mid and top, taken down, opens up that north side jungle. But, take a look at Infamous. On the move, getting into the west side jungle right now, so both sides looking to be a little bit aggressive. Will they actually meet back up? They're on a bit of a collision course now, ET.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to wrap around, and A doesn't have an observer ward, actually. He just puts the sentry on the cliff, but yeah, that's a nice slight from Alone. Now I think Lava are uncertain as to where their opponents are playing. They're trying to send the Hawk, and well, the Ogre's going to see a few, but this is still a very scary position here, especially if you're Oscar.
So while stun comes through, that forces Frank to pop the ult. Now they try to blink in Slayton, though. Faster on the draw with the toss. The Sonic Wave eventually comes through, but Leo Style, he is so low and Alone. Just wants to get in onto him. Will be able to do so, but now they have to back off. Supernova DOT too much as Kataro gets into the fight as well. Picks up 2. Infamous are going to be pushed back. Can Slayton get away? He can try, and he's going to make it out. Neither Kataro nor Katyu having any lockdown there, but Lava managed to sort of hold the line on a very awkward play with both sides sort of wrapping. They get the 3 for 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, 2 of those kills do go into the hands of the PA, which is not what you want to see, especially because Kataro is looking for that BKB timing. If he can make successful engagements happen pre that, that's exactly what you don't want. As well as that fight just breaking out too far away for Lumiere to make his appearance, and he does get the tier 1 bot in trade, but I think that's where Infamous need to be a little bit more careful there, especially because Alone, he wants to play up on that Queen of Pain, especially knowing that there's no BKB in the works just yet for Leo Style. They can kill her in chains. That is ideal. That's absolutely perfect, but that's where I do think that Lava's item timings are just going to come out a little bit faster, and that's where maybe in the harder carry coming in from the PL, you might see them dodge out a few more fights. Well, A, he's just getting burned alive.
Taken down alone.
No egg,
Wants
though.
revenge. Here comes Sladen in to help. Should be able to find that kill, but now Frank, yeah, he's got backup. Kataro comes in, just crits down Sladen and alone. Well, he's got backup coming. Lumiere's here. Oscar's already in. Going to be able to isolate the Ogre Magi off to the east. That should be an easy kill for Lumiere to eventually track down, or maybe not. He just got stunned up, and Kim making a break for it. Needs to wait a little while longer, excuse me, for his TP. And Lumiere is simply going to back off, but over to the west, Frank looking for his own exit strategy. He's able to get out, using the Centaur to keep Alone stunned up there in the back end. And, well, okay, Kim doesn't actually get away. But at the end of it all, two supports for two supports.
Yeah, and more kills over to the PA. Getting Katara out there was a really nice tight play from them. They had the Centaur stun, they had the Roar, had to use their spells defensively, but hey, you're still alive, and your timing really isn't now if you're Lava. You're just trying to be aggressive and exert your pressure on the map, especially with how much vision they've placed down. There's a crazy kind of selection here of where the wards have been placed. Everybody just wants to fight in this top jungle area because of the Beastmaster in the game, but at the same time, oh, wheel, blinked out. Easy.
Jumps away.
But Sladen has blinked.
Do the same. Does he really? Yes, he does. Okay. Something that we didn't really see at a similar timing the last time around for the Sladen Tiny, but this could be a game changer if he can sort of be that initiator. Well, there's an initiation coming, but it's coming from the other side. 4-man smoke out from Lava. Only question is, what do they aim for, considering Kataro is not going to be involved in this? They don't really want the full-on 4v5 right now. And at this point, I'm not sure they're really going to get much of anything. The smoke popped while they were trying to get their vision up on that high ground, so this smoke may just end up being a bust for them.
No, I think they are smart to give up on the play, though. They know that really their strength, especially with this Phoenix, is just having that egg going down on the high ground. The Phoenix as well. Cat, you would love to get level 12 before this fight mid breaks out, but I think that's where Infamous did a very nice job here putting pressure on the tier 1. Keeping it objective focused. Making Lava come to them is very wise. Interesting Inkswell from A. I think that was assuming there was a jump coming, and there certainly is. Frank's trying to wrap, but well, now they've been completely scared off of the tower here, and that's also with Leostyle finishing his shard, so, well, Ember Spirit, be careful, because there could be a very easy turn here. You know, Oscar, he's trying to get the stacks back up, but there's a lot of damage that he's eating that I don't think he really wants. Not to mention, PA has BKB. They want this fight because Roche is right next to this mid tower, and if they get this defense, it's gonna work.
Kataro's even thinking about just going for it right now. Yeah, if nobody's gonna come to fight us, then let's try and claim an objective. And Infamous, the only thing they care about is the tier 1. They don't even really suspect that this is happening. They will claim that objective, but can they now get over to the pit in time? They're making their way over. Sladen blinks, but he blinks into the Roar. Kataro's going to look for the quick and easy kill. They are able to find it. Now the Sonic Wave deployed onto 3. That's going to push Infamous back. Affliction not getting himself out of there. Alone now needs to jump to the Remnant. Will be able to do so, but Infamous... Oh, hold on. Kataro tried to jump in alone. Oh my goodness, he is very nearly taken down. He's a crit away maybe from dying, so he has to make a full retreat, which means Lava, they get those 2 support kills, and now they're back in for a now completely uncontested Roche.
Yep, there's absolutely nothing they can do at this stage, and it's where items like the Vlads comes through, and suddenly, well, we don't want to fight. We want to ignore them as long as we can, and Lumiere even had an Arcane Rune. Thought maybe for a second he would want to show up to the fight, he would be able to spam out a lot of his abilities, but instead they just get immediately turned on, and now Lumiere is going to probably look for this heart before he actually sees the fight. Problem is, well, that's where Kataro and the PA having the counter matchup. Once you get the Deso, it doesn't really matter how big your HP bar is. Unless you have the armor to counter it out, you're just as squishy as really the rest of your team here. And man, Lava just smoke after smoke. I knew this was their playstyle before coming into this, but they're just never letting up here. And hey, not the biggest kill, but they found Lumiere.
Yeah, this is huge if they can actually keep the PL locked down. You see the reinforcements rushing over, but there's the Roar locking him down. Sladen's Avalanche won't be enough. Lumiere is dead. They'll trade out for Kim, but that's not much of a trade. And Kataro, he is so big, so early. 722 stat line for him, and they're looking to hunt down Alone. Really trying to lock him down. I don't know if they can keep the chase going. Katara, though, he's in. That's actually going to force out a BKB, as Alone does have a Remnant. But he had to make sure he could jump to it. But that means now he really has no way back into the fight. No Remnants to push forward means Lava take the engagement, and now they should take this tower on top of it.
Yeah, and I honestly think next 4 minutes, Infamous, split the waves. Look for items like a Shiva's Guard on Alone. Look for that part finished by Lumiere. They cannot afford to fight right now, and it really sucks because they're getting the tools. Oscar especially, he's had to kind of recover in this game. We're definitely not seeing that 200 last hit third net worth Timbersaw that sometimes we're used to seeing, but at the same time, I don't know if Oscar really has been able to play up on these supports in the way that it feels like he really needs to. He's just getting clipped by stuns, he's getting forced out early on by the magic damage, and then, well, you're not playing versus cores where that whirling death is coming into play here. Not to mention, Kataro, he might be walking into 4 heroes here, but with Deso, he can kill anyone if he's able to stay on them for a long period of time. And they continuously look for this hunt, and even though there's a ward here, this is a very scary position to be in. I don't know if they want to fight into this Aegis. I think Infamous should run.
Lumiere is pushing forward, though. They want to try for it. The heal's coming out from the Phoenix. Not enough to save Kim, but Lumiere's too low. Oh. Nope, not able to get away. He does go down. Lumiere will fall. Oscar, what? He's gone. That's the tankiest hero on the map, and he's just deleted. Affliction, same scenario. And now they're just going to get run down in the tree line. Leo Style finds the kill. I do not think I have ever seen a Timbersaw ET get 2-shot.
That was 2,400 physical damage in 2 seconds. I want to hazard to say 1 second with how fast his right click came out, but I mean, hey, you danger, you ventured to fight, and
boy.
He doesn't even get this kill. He's got a Fairy Fire. There's nothing he can do here except try to go insane, but that's where Kataro, objective focus to the last breath. He's gonna get this mid-racks while you're busy, messing with my backline.
Yeah, go after the Phoenix if you want. I am just gonna take a full lane of racks and walk away like a badass, basically, as Kataro should be able to get this. Oscar's coming back in. There's the Searing Chains, but they can't do this. Kataro's going to drop a little bit low on HP, but not low enough. And now Sladen, he did try for the tossback. That's enough to take down Frank. He'll give his life for this plate, though. Now they have to deal with the Supernova. They would love to keep going in for these kills, but they just can't afford to fight into the stun. But now, I don't know if they really want to do this. They're pushing forward like they want this fight, but you still got to show respect to Kataro because he can do this. Jumps back in. Oscar's gone again. Him does get taken down in exchange. They'll burn through the Aegis, but is that enough to really change the outcome right now? They've already lost the racks too, so the economic and base damage was done. It's better than going up against the PA with the Aegis later, but I just don't feel like that's enough to warrant the risks they're taking.
Yeah, I honestly think now that Aegis is burned, and of course, what a nice way for Lava to use that Aegis, just getting more kills and more of a snowball effect on a Kataro, but it's up to the Tiny and the Ember Spirit. They need to get his BKB popped early. We need to see those charges whittled down. Otherwise, Kataro, he's got a 9-second BKB and a Basher. There's just no reason for him to stop going in like a madman. There's just no damage. There's no physical damage rival, and usually that's what it comes down to. Are we even going to see an MKB picked up by Lumiere? Probably not, because his hero doesn't inherently play into the PA. And I think that's where, is this going to be another smoke? Yeah, probably. Lava just gave no time for their opponents. They're trying to finish some of these items, and Oscar, he's been looking for this Kai Assange for a super long time. Slane's been looking for anything after Blinken. Okay, Leo Style, he's in. It looks crazy, but they have to run.
Slade's just going to have to sacrifice himself here. And yeah, this is Lava just smelling that blood in the water here. They know exactly how to keep their opponents on the back foot. And back foot is exactly what Infamous are sort of on right now. They can't do anything. They lose one hero. Now they're all back in their base. This is just so cautious, so timid from them, but there's a reason for it. They really can't afford to go toe-to-toe with Lava at the moment.
No, they're just kind of being corralled back, and, well, now, Lava, they start to equalize. They're trying to take some of these objectives, and I do like that the reaction is almost instant from Infamous. They see which side of the map you're playing on, ATPs, Lumiere follows, they try to create some space for the PO, and now Lumiere can very hesitantly push out this top lane. But the reason that Lava are letting you play top right now is because they know that Roche is not even a concern in their mind right now. They know it's impossible for it to be spawned at this point in the game. They can look towards that tier 3 bottom now, and that's a forcing play that you have to react to. You have to come back for. I'm just worried that Lava are getting a little bit too much space right now for how 5-manny they really are. There is a whole jungle for them to farm, and instead they are just running their opponents. And I think if Infamous can make some nice plays, force them around, they will start to out-farm them. But until those plays are made, Infamous can almost afford to take this economy hit. They are just making sure there's no opening, there's no mistakes that they're proposing here. They're even looking to dive onto the tier 4s if perhaps 1 or 2 heroes just show by themselves, even though I do think maybe get the tier 2 instead. Probably a little easier.
Yeah, the objective is just sitting there, and Infamous certainly are not coming to defend it. So, make the simpler, the easier play. It may not be as exciting as sort of hunting for kills, but if you're Lava, you now know you can really put the stranglehold on this lineup. Lumiere still needs time to build himself up, and if you can take away, you know, 2.5 of these farming lanes for him, they're going to be hard-pressed to mount any sort of resistance against you. Zealsal, look at that, getting aggressive onto Sladen, pushing the Tiny back a little bit, but Sladen survives, and Lumiere, he has the heart. That's certainly going to help, but will it be enough? Especially considering in a lot of these fights...
No! Kitaro, in the timing of a single Skull Basher, takes him out, and now Lumiere. If he gets roared, it's just a dead PL. They're choosing the wrong target.
There's
though,
the
but
roar!
now...
Sladen, what a play. He tries. The Sonic Wave is going to come through. Is that enough? For now, it's looking like the answer is maybe, but it's a maybe because Oscar has to sacrifice himself. He goes down. Affliction tries to come in. He's going to throw the Soul Bind out there, but now that Supernova coming into play. Infamous cannot afford to stick around. They've got to try and fall back, and alone, you cannot die again. Just fought back. You saw how quickly he could get taken down there. Taro just biding his time, holding the BKB. Infamous are very much sort of playing with fire here. 1 or 2 more deaths on those cores, and they're just going to be really unable to defend themselves.
No, and that's where Roche is very merciless to them this game. It's going to be the second longest timer. They will be able to not be concerned about getting dragged to the pit just yet, but at the same time, I like this is the smoke. This is something they need. They know that there's no egg. They know that there's no roar, at least for another 15 seconds here. They could find their way onto the Beastmaster especially. That'd be a fantastic way to start the fight.
Okay. Got scanned, but they're still pushing. They're going to get eyes on Frank, trying to lock him down first, but instead it's Sladen who falls. That heal from Katyu is so effective. Frank eventually dies, but it buys so much time, and now alone you can't die, but he won't be able to help himself. He is taken down. This is turning into a very bad scenario because Lumiere, you are very tanky with this heart, but if you are alone in this fight, there's really just not much he's going to be able to do. He's trying his best to use that Phantom Rush to just get in and out, but it's just not going to be enough. Lumiere falls. Oscar now gets crit, and that's just a straight GG call.
Honestly, really clean game from Lava, but also so distinctly Lava, just running at their opponents. They always do this where they don't use their smokes for the first 15 minutes of the game. They get one item, and then they decide that we're going to be smoking for the next 10 minutes, and there's nothing you can do about it because we've got 6 piled up. But at the same time, back to the draft with some of these SA teams, I think very basic matchups are getting overlooked a little bit here. I'm really startled at some of the things I'm seeing, and again, we called it. Hey, PL versus PA, not really a thing. I'm really surprised that Infamous go for that in such a disadvantageous position, especially because in the past, they've never been afraid to run the Grimstroke Ursa. They've never been afraid to stick Lumiere on some of these carries that, albeit aren't the best, are definitely capable of putting up at least a little bit more of a fight. But in this game, I just feel like we never got to feel his game at all. He was constantly running, constantly forced to the edge. And I mean, you look over at Kitaro, 15-2 at 7. He's just a murderer. He just slaughtered Infamous.
Let's see the damage for him. 30k out from the PA, which, well, you look at alone, he's sitting at 27,000. So it's not that Kitaro massively outdamaged him, but your PA never really missed any sort of timing. In fact, was actually a little bit ahead of schedule. That Battle Fury gets picked up, and then it's just directly into the next item and the next item over and over again. We didn't have that sort of hang up that a lot of heroes who pick up the Battle Fury do, where they get the Battle Fury and then you need to use it to then build up to the next item, and it's a little bit slower. Kataro just really kept going.
Yeah, he never really stopped. At the same time, I don't think Infamous were able to make nearly as many plays as they wanted to. And honestly, even though Oscar had a pretty good early game, I think that comes back a little bit to the Tiny 4, where Oscar doesn't take the empty lane. You have to give it over to the Tiny. Alone's not going to give up mid. And I think in doing so, even though Slayton got a infinitely better timing on his Blink Dagger than he did in the last Tiny game, it's still a 17-minute blink. You still don't provide that much magic damage, and I think that really is the big difference maker here. We just didn't get enough coming in from their heroes, and not to mention, what a trickle, what a poor way for this Timbersaw to get revealed here, because it just never felt like he was able to get on top of those strength heroes. And I think that Phoenix on full display, it was impossible for Infamous to actually fight, even though they tried this counter pick in the PL. There just wasn't enough time.
Yeah, everything that Lava really did was perfect, right? Their heroes farmed, their vulnerable quote-unquote supports maintained the perfect separation. I'm not sure a single supernova egg was ever hit, period. Even one time by Infamous heroes. So very nicely done by CatU there. And if you're Infamous, this one's got to feel really bad because they got so many things where you would think, okay, Infamous have this, right? You've got Alone on an Ember Spirit. You were able to pick a Tiny and you have a Timbersaw in your lineup as well, but all it really takes is one misstep. All it takes is maybe putting that Tiny into a support position rather than the carry that we saw or have seen be so successful, and everything just gets thrown out of alignment.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, in NA, there's a saying, right? G next. First game's done. We're not going to change how that happened. Now it's up to Infamous to switch things up a little bit here. And in that best of 3 format, maybe we see something wildly different come out there, because I do think that their draft is good. Their draft has points, but it's also where I think they just threw away the bag a little bit. I think they got in their own heads. Just time to move on. Game 2. Let's see if Infamous can get it up.
Yeah, they're going to have to make some adjustments, but they've been here before. We'll see what it is they look to change up for game 2. So, in the meantime, we will be stepping away for just a moment as we get these squads ready to go. So, stick around, folks. We'll be back with the start of the game 2 draft in about 5 minutes.